The CEO called my personal cell at 6:47 on a Tuesday evening. No secretary, no scheduling, just him, breathing hard on the other end. "What will it take?" he said. I was 60 years old, 27 years at Hartwell Manufacturing, never heard a man sound that desperate. "Leonard Mitchell. That's me, and I'm going to tell you how I got a CEO to beg." Started 3 weeks earlier. The champagne cork hit the ceiling tile, bounced off that motivational poster about innovation. Nobody noticed. Too busy celebrating. My work. 3 years I'd spent on that ERP migration. COBOL, mainframe to cloud infrastructure. Zero downtime during cutover. Board could finally see real-time financials instead of waiting for quarterly printouts. Accounts payable automated. Inventory tracking live. Customer credit analysis running smooth as silk. I built that, line by line, weekend after weekend while everyone else went home. Tyler Bradshaw walked in around 2. You know the type. 33 years old, MBA from whatever school his daddy paid for. Somehow my boss, despite never writing a line of code in his life. Always had that look. Like he was doing you a favor just by talking to you. "Len, hey, got a second?" Didn't wait for an answer. Never did. "So, about your bonus?" Corporate's doing this thing where they're tightening up on post-project payouts. Policy shift, you understand, right? 27 years. This kid was telling me about policy. "Policy shift," I said. Not a question. Just repeated it back. "Yeah, man. Not personal. Just belt tightening across the board. Already moving toward the door. Already done with the conversation. Not personal." Right. Not personal like the weekends I'd spent debugging integration failures while Tyler posted LinkedIn updates about leading digital transformation. Not personal like my granddaughter Emily's college fund counting on that money. Not personal like the contract clause I'd negotiated 3 years ago when his father almost outsourced this entire project to consultants in Dallas. I nodded once. Got it. What I got was this. They thought I was disposable. The old guy who rebuilt their financial backbone from legacy systems held together with duct tape and prayer. The guy who'd survived 2 recessions, 3 acquisitions, and more managers than I could count. That guy could be filed under cost savings. They were wrong about one thing, though. That contract clause, page 47, Appendix C, Clause 8.2. Buried in the vendor licensing agreement nobody else had bothered to read. In the event that the designated principal architect as defined in Addendum A is removed from active compensated status for any period exceeding 96 hours, this license shall be deemed null and void with all access rights terminated immediately. I'd fought for that sentence 3 years ago. Tyler's father wanted to cut me loose. I was 57 then, too expensive, too set in my ways, not agile enough, whatever that meant. So I called the vendor's legal team, explained the situation, made sure my name got written into that contract in permanent ink. If they wanted to use the software running their entire financial infrastructure, I had to be employed and paid, just in case, like now. I walked back to my desk. Party noise faded into background static. Inbox full of requests, reports, questions about architecture. Everyone wanted something. I gave them what they needed. Professional. No edge. But something clicked. Not anger. Just cold clarity that comes from watching people like Tyler fail upward for 3 decades while people like me kept the lights on. Opened an encrypted folder. Pulled up the contract. PDF. Fully executed. Signatures from everyone who mattered. Stared at Clause 8.2 for a long time. Remembered the fight to get it included. Tyler's father rolling his eyes. Fine, whatever, just get it done. Then I opened Outlook. To Patricia Morrison, Legal Counsel. Subject, FYI, potential licensing issue 4 sentences. Hi Trish. Looping you in on the ERP vendor license, specifically Appendix C, Clause 8.2, may be compliance implications regarding current compensation structure. Full contract attached. Hit send. Not dramatic. No threats. Just information. But I knew what would happen. Patricia Morrison was the CEO's niece, but unlike Tyler, she'd earned her spot. Smart. Thorough. Actually read contracts. Once she saw that clause, she'd understand exactly what Tyler's policy shift had triggered. Left at 6, same as always. Waved to the cleaning crew. Walked to my truck with a leather notebook in my bag. Inside that notebook, handwritten logs, every system dependency, every integration point, every piece of infrastructure that relied on my code, 63 critical systems, financial close procedures, board dashboards, payroll calculations, inventory tracking, customer credit models, all tied to that license, all about to fail in 4 days. Monday morning started quiet. Too quiet. Got my coffee. Same burned pot sitting there since 6. Settled at my desk, checked email. Overnight reports ran clean. Board dashboards refreshed. Everything humming along on the system I'd built. 9:47 a.m. I got removed from the digital transformation Slack channel. No explanation. 1 second reading a thread about Q4 planning. Next second, you no longer have access. 10 minutes later, my calendar invite to Monday Technical Sync disappeared. They were icing me out. Tyler probably thought he was being strategic. Cut off access. Maybe I'd fade away quietly. I opened Excel. New spreadsheet. Critical dependencies. ERP v4.2. Started listing. Financial close process. My stored procedures. Board reporting. My data warehouse. Accounts payable. My automation scripts. Payroll. My COBOL translation code. By lunch, 63 systems. By end of day, 81. Each one had a column. Failure condition without license. Most would collapse within 4 days, some within hours. Tyler never responded to Patricia's email. I could see the read receipt. He just ignored it. Probably figured legal was being overly cautious. Contracts were just words on paper. Friday, I did something I hadn't done in 27 years. Backed up everything, every script, every diagram, every piece of documentation. Encrypted it all on a drive I took home. Not malice, preparation. The weekend I went fishing. Didn't catch anything. That wasn't the point. Sat in my boat thinking about that deadline, 96 hours since they officially denied my bonus. Clock would hit 0 Monday at midnight. Thought about Emily. Smart kid, wanted to study engineering like her grandpa. Bonus would have covered 2 years' tuition. Thought about Tyler walking into that party with his smirk. Mostly thought about companies that spend decades building loyalty, then throw it away for quarterly numbers. Monday afternoon, Patricia called an emergency meeting. No calendar invite. Just quiet hallway conversations pulling people into conference room B. I wasn't invited. Didn't need to be. Through the glass wall, I could see Tyler's face going red. Finance director flipping through spreadsheets. Patricia Morrison sitting perfectly still at the table's head. She looked tired, made eye contact across the office, slight nod, then headed toward the CEO's corner office. At 11:43 p.m., the deadline passed. System didn't explode, no alarms, no error messages, just stopped. Quietly, completely. Tuesday morning smelled like panic and burnt coffee. First sign was the CFO's daily report. Didn't generate. No email, no dashboard refresh, just nothing. By 7 a.m., help desk was fielding calls from every department. Systems down, dashboards blank, data not loading. By 8, the vendor's automated compliance system had scanned our license status. One line came back. License invalid due to breach of contract clause C 8.2. Contact account holder for reinstatement. Account holder was me. I was at my desk. Terrible coffee in my chipped mug. Watching it unfold. Every executive dashboard showed the same thing. Authorization failure, contact system administrator. Financial reporting, locked. Accounts payable, frozen. Inventory systems, read-only mode. Payroll, running on cached data that would expire in 72 hours. Tyler tried to spin it. Sent an all-staff about temporary vendor authentication issues. Said it was working on it. Patricia Morrison replied all. One sentence. This is a licensing breach, not a technical issue. That's when people started to understand. By 9, the CEO had called an emergency meeting, executive level only, conference room filled with people who'd barely looked at me in 3 years. Could see Tyler through the glass, gesturing at his laptop, talking fast. His father's face went from confused to concerned to stone. Patricia slid the contract across the table, pointed to page 47. Started explaining what Appendix C, Clause 8.2 meant in plain English. The CEO's assistant walked past my desk around 10:30, carrying her laptop like a live grenade, muttering under her breath. Vendor sent a follow-up at 11:15. Word spread fast through the office. Per licensing agreement, system access requires principal architect Leonard Mitchell to be in active compensated employment status. Current status? Breach. Estimated time to alternative compliance pathway, 90 to 120 days minimum. They couldn't just hire someone else. Contract required me. Specifically, renegotiating would take months. Legal review, vendor approval, system recertification. Meanwhile, every dashboard the board used to run the company was dark. You want to know what that looks like? Manufacturing company can't see inventory levels. Finance can't close the books. Sales can't track orders. Payroll's got 3 days before paychecks don't process, all because they stiffed me on a bonus. Around noon, the building got that funeral home quiet. Phones rang, but nobody answered. Slack channels were graveyards, confused questions, radio silence. People rebooting routers like that would fix a licensing breach. Marketing blamed IT blamed the vendor. Vendor sent back another brutal line. Your license is invalid. Contact your designated account lead. That was me, still sitting at my desk, working on a side project for a consulting gig I'd lined up. They'd be paying in actual money and respect. Already a better deal. 12:40 p.m., a kid from HR walked over. Tyler something. Not my Tyler. Young guy. Fear in his eyes. Deodorant stains down both armpits. Hey, Tyler was wondering if maybe you could help draft some transition documentation? Voice cracking. Just so the team can keep things moving? I looked up, blinked once. Documentation for a system I can't legally access anymore? Kid turned red. Well, yeah, but just like, so we can... Tell Tyler I'm not available, I said. Even tone. And next time, don't send someone who doesn't understand what breach means. He nodded too fast, shuffled off. I went back to my terminal, quietly deleted my personal credentials from every sandbox instance. Not in anger, just closure. Meanwhile, HR made their move, tried to process a backdated bonus. Wasn't even subtle. Timestamp showed 11:04 a.m., hours after the breach notification. Labeled it manual adjustment, discretionary. Thought they could slap a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Patricia wasn't having it. Sent a company-wide email. Short, brutal. Retroactive compensation does not resolve breach status per contract clause 8.2. Timestamp payment logs confirm violation. Platform remains unlicensed. Disclosure to vendor and investors will proceed. There it was, black and white, from legal. Still, Tyler tried to spin it. Overheard him in the hallway, telling someone from finance that maybe I could have just come to him directly, instead of escalating through legal. I'd sent him 3 emails over 6 months about compensation timing. Marked read. Never responded. The stupidity wasn't surprising. What shocked me was how committed they were to it. Flaming meteor headed for their quarterly report. Their plan was to hand me a Word doc template and hope I'd play ball. But I wasn't playing anymore. Wasn't even on the field. Walked past conference room B around 2. Inside, panic. 4 people on a video call, 1 crying, 1 pacing, Tyler gesturing at a spreadsheet showing nothing but error codes. Didn't slow down, just smiled at the vending machine. Twix was sold out, still more reliable than their leadership. By 3, reality was setting in. The board had a meeting scheduled for Thursday, quarterly review. They needed those dashboards, needed the financial data, needed proof the company was running smoothly. Instead, they had blank screens and a licensing breach. Investor relations was scrambling. How do you explain to shareholders that your entire financial infrastructure is down because you didn't pay a bonus? Compliance was worse. SEC requires accurate financial reporting. Can't report what you can't access. Insurance was calling. Cyber liability policy had questions about the outage. Every hour that system stayed dark, the hole got deeper. I heard later what happened in that executive meeting. Patricia laid it out. Not just operational chaos, legal exposure. Every report they'd sent to investors using that data. Every board presentation. Every quarterly filing. If the breach wasn't resolved, all of it became questionable. Potentially fraudulent if they'd known about the licensing issue. The CEO asked one question. Can we fix this? Patricia didn't sugarcoat it. You had a fix. You decided a bonus wasn't worth the policy exception. Tyler tried to talk. His father waved him off like a mosquito. How bad? The CEO asked. Disclosure to board and investors by Friday. Vendor compliance review. Possible SEC inquiry if financial reporting is compromised. And every day we're down, we're bleeding. Silence. Then, get me Leonard Mitchell's attorney. By 6, I was home. Fed the cat, poured 2 fingers of whiskey, sat on my back porch watching the sun go down. Phone buzzed. Text from Patricia. They want to talk. Tomorrow morning. Your terms. I didn't respond right away. Just sat there thinking about Emily's college fund, about 27 years of showing up, about Tyler's smirk when he delivered that not personal line, about the contract clause I'd buried 3 years ago like insurance nobody thought I'd ever use. Finally texted back, my attorney will send terms. 24-hour window. She replied immediately, understood. I finished my whiskey, went inside, opened my laptop. The proposal was already drafted. My attorney and I had prepared it 2 weeks ago, before launch, before Tyler got cute, before any of this. We knew. Subject line, reinstatement terms, 24-hour response required, 3 bullet points, full payment of withheld bonus, plus 40% breach penalty, buyout of out. Contract clause, allowing immediate retirement with consulting option. Written acknowledgement of contributions to be read at next all hands and published in company records. Dollar amount at the bottom, $627,000. Forwarded it to Patricia, copied my attorney. Then I went to bed. Slept better than I had in weeks. Wednesday morning, my phone started buzzing at 6:15 a.m. Not my work cell, my personal cell. The number I'd given to maybe 5 people at Hartwell in 27 years. Didn't answer, made coffee instead. Scrambled some eggs, fed the cat. Phone kept buzzing. By 7, I had 12 missed calls, 8 voicemails, didn't listen to them. Knew what they'd say anyway. Sat on my porch with my coffee. Watched the sun come up. Thought about going fishing. Phone rang again. This time I looked. Patricia Morrison. Answered on the 4th ring. Morning, Trish. Leonard. She sounded tired. They want to meet. This morning. Your attorney can attend via video. They have my terms, I said. I know. They're reviewing 24 hours. That was the window. Silence on her end. Then, the board meets tomorrow. They need an answer for investors. The breach is... I know what the breach is, I said. I built the system. Leonard. Her voice dropped. Between us? You're right. You were always right. But they're panicking. Tyler's father is... She paused. He's scared. Good, I thought, but didn't say it. Meeting's at 9, she said. Conference room A. Just hear them out? I checked my watch. 7:42. I'll think about it, I said. Hung up. Finished my coffee. Thought about Emily. About 27 years. About that smirk on Tyler's face. About the number in my proposal. $627,000. At 8:30, I called my attorney. They're going to lowball, he said. Hold firm. I know. And Leonard? You don't have to take the meeting. We can do this through counsel. I know that too. But I wanted to see their faces. Got to the office at 8:55, 5 minutes early. Old habit. Patricia was waiting in the lobby. Led me to conference room A, the big one. Floor-to-ceiling windows. View of downtown. Inside, the CEO, CFO, head of HR. Tyler in the back corner, looking like he'd been told to sit there and shut up. My attorney on the big screen. Video call. CEO stood up when I walked in, extended his hand. I didn't take it, just sat down. Leonard, he said, thank you for coming. Didn't respond, just waited. He cleared his throat, looked at papers in front of him. We've reviewed your proposal, and we understand the situation, the breach, the timeline, all of it. Waited. The number you've proposed is substantial. We'd like to discuss alternatives that might be more... No, I said. He stopped. I'm sorry. No alternatives. Those are the terms. You have until this evening to accept or decline. CFO leaned forward. Younger guy. Never learned his name. Mr. Mitchell, we're talking about over $500,000 for what amounts to a contractual technicality. Technicality? I looked at him. Your entire financial infrastructure is down. Board meets tomorrow. You can't report earnings, can't process payroll by Friday, can't tell investors why their dashboards are blank. That a technicality? He shut up. CEO tried again. Leonard, you've been with us 27 years. We value that. We value you. This is just... It's a difficult budget year. Board's watching expenses closely. If we could find middle ground... You valued me so much you denied my bonus for policy reasons, I said. You valued me so much my name wasn't in the post-launch report. You valued me so much Tyler here removed me from Slack channels on Monday. Tyler shifted in his chair. Didn't look up. You had middle ground, I continued. It was called honoring your contract. Paying what you promised. That ship sailed. CEO sat back, looked at Patricia. She shook her head slightly, meaning, I told you. What about the consulting arrangement? HR spoke up. Could we structure more of the payout through that? Spread it over time? My attorney's voice came through the speaker. No. Cash payment, wire transfer. Full amount by close of business today, or the offer expires. That's less than 12 hours, CFO said. Yes, my attorney replied. It is. Silence. CEO rubbed his face, looked older than I remembered. If we don't accept, then I filed a formal breach escalation with the vendor's compliance team, I said. They notify your investors, insurance carriers, and banking partners. You spend the next quarter explaining to the board and SEC why you can't access your own financial data. Meanwhile, your competitors are watching. Your customers are nervous. Your stock price is tanking. More silence. You also lose the consulting option, my attorney added. Leonard walks. Completely. You're left renegotiating a license that took 3 years to structure originally. Best case, you're operational again in 4 months. Worst case, you're migrating to a new vendor. That's 18 months minimum. CEO looked at the papers again, at the number. $627,000. This is extortion, he said quietly. No, I said. This is the consequence of breaking a contract I specifically negotiated to prevent exactly this situation. You chose not to read it. You chose not to honor it. You chose to treat me like I was disposable. Looked at Tyler. He was staring at the table. And you, I said to him. You told me it wasn't personal. He finally looked up, face pale. This isn't personal either, I said. It's just business. Policy. You understand? He flinched like I'd slapped him. CEO stood up. I need to make some calls. Can you give us an hour? I looked at my watch. You've got until 5 p.m., not an hour, not a negotiation, yes or no. Stood up, headed for the door. Leonard, CEO said. I stopped. Didn't turn around. We should have just paid you. Yes, I said. You should have. Walked out. Spent the rest of the morning at a coffee shop downtown. Good coffee for once. Sat by the window, read the paper. Phone buzzed constantly, ignored most of it. Patricia texted at 11:30. They're arguing about budget allocation. CFO's pushing back, didn't respond. At 1:15, CEO's talking to board members, explaining the situation, still didn't respond. At 2:47, they're going to accept. Finalizing approval now, replied. Wire instructions with my attorney. Confirmation by 5 p.m. or offer expires. At 3:42, my attorney called. Wires processing, he said. Should hit your account within the hour. All of it, every penny. Plus, they've agreed to the written acknowledgement. CEO will read it Friday at all hands. I sat back, watched people walking past outside. Regular Wednesday afternoon. Nobody knowing what had just happened. Leonard, my attorney said, you still there? Yeah, I said, I'm here. How do you feel? Good question. Didn't feel victorious. Didn't feel angry anymore. Just done. Tired, I said. Well, you just made them pay $627,000 for violating a contract you warned them about. That's not tired. That's winning. Maybe. But winning at 60 after 27 years shouldn't feel like this. At 4:33 p.m., my phone pinged. Bank notification. Wire transfer received. $627,000. Sat there staring at it for a long time, all because they wouldn't pay a bonus. All because they thought I didn't matter. All because I'd read the contract, drove home, fed the cat, poured whiskey, sat on the porch again, thought about what comes next. Emily's college fund was secure now. 2 years covered, maybe 3 if she got scholarships. Retirement was solid, could stop working tomorrow if I wanted. But the consulting offer was still on the table. My terms, my hours, my rate. Phone rang at 6:47 p.m. That's when the CEO called my personal cell. And that's when I realized they needed one more thing. They needed me to say yes. What will it take? That's what he said. The CEO, 6:47 on a Tuesday evening. I was at home, whiskey in hand, cat on my lap. Take for what? I said. To turn it back on, the system. We need it operational by tomorrow morning. Board meeting's at 9. I took a sip, let him wait. You already have my terms, I said. The money's transferred. You got it, right? I got it. So we're square. You can reactivate the license now. I almost laughed. Almost. That's not how this works, I said. What do you mean? You got paid. We accepted your terms. The payment reinstates the license legally, I said. Doesn't mean the system comes back automatically. Someone has to do the work, coordinate with the vendor, verify the compliance, rebuild the authentication layer, test everything. Silence on his end. How long does that take? He finally asked. Depends. On what? On whether I'm doing it. Could hear him breathing, calculating. The consulting arrangement, he said. $300 an hour, 20 hours a month. You'd do it? Maybe. Leonard, please, we need an answer. Finished my whiskey. Looked out at the dark yard. 27 years I'd given them, fixed their problems, trained their people, built their infrastructure, kept the lights on while people like Tyler climbed over me, and now they needed me again. I'll do it, I said. But not tonight, not tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, after the board meeting. After? Leonard, we need those dashboards for the meeting. Should have thought about that before you broke the contract, I said. Tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. Take it or leave it. Long pause. Fine, he said, 3 p.m. One more thing, I said. What? Tyler's not in the room when I work, not on the calls, not involved at all. I deal with Patricia and IT directly. Done. Hung up, sat there for a while, thinking about what I'd just agreed to, not going back full time. Never that. But consulting? On my terms? My schedule? My rate? Yeah, I could do that. Because here's the thing. I didn't hate the work. I hated being disposable. Thursday morning, I didn't go to the office, slept in, made a real breakfast, eggs, bacon, toast, read the paper cover to cover, phone buzzed around 8. Patricia. Board meeting started. They're asking about timeline. Replied, 3 p.m. like we discussed. At 9:15, CEO's reading your acknowledgement now. Didn't respond to that one. At 11:30, she sent a photo. The all-hands presentation. Slide on the big screen. Enterprise Resource Planning. Success. In recognition of Leonard Mitchell. Bullet points below. 27 years of service. Principal architect. Led the COBOL to cloud migration. Critical to company infrastructure. My name. Finally. Patricia's text. He read it word for word. Tyler was there. You should have seen his face. Should have. But didn't need to. At 2:45, I drove to the office. Patricia met me in the lobby. Walked me to a conference room. Not the big one. Small room. Quiet. IT director was there. Senior engineer I'd trained 5 years ago. Good kid. Listened when you taught him something. Okay, I said. Let's fix this. Took 4 hours. Called the vendor. Verified my employment status. Confirmed the compensation. Walked them through the reinstatement process. Reset the authentication keys. Rebuilt the access controls. Tested every integration point. At 6:52 p.m., the first dashboard came back online. By 7, financial reporting was running. By 7:30, accounts payable was processing. By 8, everything was humming again. Like nothing had happened. Except, everything had happened. The IT director shook my hand. Thanks, Leonard. We couldn't have done this without you. I know, I said. Wasn't arrogance, just fact. Packed up my laptop. Headed out. Patricia caught me at the elevator. You did good, she said. I did my job. More than that. She paused. For what it's worth? I'm sorry. The way they treated you. It was wrong. I believed her. She was one of the good ones. You going to stick around? She asked. The consulting thing? For a while, I said. Until they don't need me anymore. Or until I don't feel like it. Fair enough. Elevator opened. I stepped in. Leonard, she called, held the door. Next time someone builds something important here, I'm making sure their name's in the contract. First page, bold letters. I nodded. Good. Friday afternoon, the wire transfer cleared completely. Moved most of it to Emily's college fund. Set aside some for retirement. Kept enough for a new boat. Been wanting one for years. Saturday morning, I took Emily out for breakfast. 17 years old, smart as hell, wanted to be an engineer. Grandpa, she said over pancakes, Mom told me about your bonus, about what happened. I shrugged. It worked out, but they tried to screw you over. Yes, and you made them pay. Yes, she grinned. That's badass. I laughed. First real laugh in weeks. What did you learn from it? I asked. She thought about it, poured more syrup on her pancakes. Get it in writing, she said, and read the fine print. That's part of it. What's the rest? Know your worth, I said. Don't let anyone convince you you're replaceable. And if they try, make damn sure you've got leverage. She nodded. Serious now. Did you plan it? The contract thing? Plan for the possibility, I said. Hoped I'd never need it. But when you work somewhere long enough, you learn. Loyalty's a one-way street in corporate America. You protect yourself or nobody will. That's kind of sad. It is, I agreed. But it's true. We finished breakfast. I paid, dropped her at home, drove to the lake, looked at boats. These days I consult twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, 4 hours each. My rate, my schedule. Fixed a few more things at Hartwell. Trained their new architect. Good guy, younger, knows his stuff. I made sure his contract had the same clause mine did. Patricia saw to it. Tyler got reassigned. Strategic advisor with no team. Fancy title, no power. His father's way of saving face while benching him. Heard he's looking for jobs elsewhere. Good luck with that. The story spread. LinkedIn, engineering forums, trade publications. The Leonard Mitchell case, they called it. Old engineer protects himself with one contract clause. Company learns expensive lesson. Got invited to speak at a few conferences. Took some. Declined others. Phone rings with consulting offers. Pick the interesting ones. Turn down the rest. Because here's what 60 years taught me. You spend your whole career building things. Making them work. Fixing what's broken. Training the next generation. And somewhere along the way, companies forget that infrastructure doesn't maintain itself. That expertise isn't replaceable. That the quiet guy in the corner who never complains might be the only thing keeping the lights on. They remember eventually, usually when everything goes dark. I'm fishing more now. Got that new boat, nothing fancy, just reliable. Sleep better than I have in years. And somewhere in Hartwell's server room, the system I built keeps running, efficiently, reliably, with my name in the documentation where it belongs. That's not revenge, that's just making sure the record's straight. Because after 27 years, I earned that much, and a whole lot more.